My name is Emily Buchanan, and the schools I went to do my observations at include Tolson Elementary School, which was in Jacksonville. That's where I observed my kindergarten class with Miss Norris, my first grade class with Miss Goldsberry, and my second grade class with Miss Nelson. My second school I visited was Stevens Elementary. That was in Little Rock. There I saw a third and fourth grade CBI special education classroom. That was something new and interesting. My third school I visited was Forest Heights STEM Academy, also located in Little Rock. There I did a fifth grade special education classroom with Miss Jacob, a sixth grade self-contained classroom with Miss White, and my fifth and sixth grade gifted and talented classroom with Miss Theodore. My last school was my inclusive site, which was at Easter Seals in Little Rock, and I saw the late 4-year-old and early 5-year-old classroom, and that teacher was Miss Brooks. So, going back to my kindergarten classroom with Miss Norris, she was absolutely fantastic. She was really soft-spoken, which is something not a lot of people associate, and think of when they think of characteristics of teachers. But she did a wonderful job. She was so fun and creative. She had really original ideas to teach the kids letters. She incorporated a lot of songs, which I really enjoyed. So many glows for that classroom. One glow that I could give to her was organization. Most of the room was fine, but in the back of the classroom, there was this one area when I looked at it, I was just like, oh goodness. Like, it could have used some organization and some, tidying up. It looked a little messy, but other than that, her classroom was amazing. If that's the only thing someone could say about me in the future, I would be okay with that. I would definitely love to, use some of her creative ideas and incorporate those into my classroom in the future. My first grade classroom with Miss Goldsberry. Unfortunately, I feel like I learned more things not to do than things to do in a classroom. That's still a learning experience though. I feel like I came at a bad time, so maybe it would have been different had I come during a different part of the day. They were working on portfolios, so not a lot of actual teaching was going on, just a lot of passing out papers, calling, students up to collect papers, stuff like that. But she just didn't seem to have a lot of patience. There was an incident where a classroom next door, the teacher came over because her substitute wasn't there yet and she had to leave, so she just left her classroom sitting on the carpet in the classroom I was observing. It's like, oh, okay. And she just kind of let the students sit on the carpet, and it was just a really interesting, kind of awkward observation and weird timing, I'm sure. But I wish she would have been a little more pleasant with her students. She also would call students to, pull a color, because they were talking, but it seemed like it was at random. Like the entire class would be talking. She would say, be quiet. And a little time would go by and she'd ask them again, and she'd get more and more frustrated. And then she would randomly just call out a name, be like, go pull a color. And she might have had reasoning, for calling on specific students that I didn't know about, but it just seemed kind of random to me and not very fair. A glow that I would have was that she did seem to keep her cool with such a weird situation going on. When the other teacher brought her classroom in, she didn't, freak out or lose her cool, be like, what's going on? She just rolled with it and, just let it happen, which does say a lot. So there's a glow for her. My second My second grade observation was with Miss Nelson. The glow for her, at one point she broke the students off and started doing small groups with math. And I love the way she did her small groups. She really broke it down, step by step, and walked through the word problem with the students. It was, very, even though there were about 5 students in the group, it seemed, very, one-on-one based. She took it slowly, step by step, really walked them through it. It wasn't rushed or, here are the directions, do it. It was very interactive and engaging, and I really enjoyed that. A grow for her, she did come off a bit harsh. Most of the time it was very strict. I was amazed at how quiet her classroom was. And I mean, it worked, but I feel like it was because she was so harsh and so strict. But I mean, that's some people's style, and some students work better in that environment. So that works for her, then that's what works for her. But she did a great job with her math small groups. I really enjoyed watching that. My 3rd and 4th grade observation. This was a CBI classroom, which is a community-based instruction. It focuses more on community-based and functional, life skills. It includes academics as well, but that's not the main focus like most classrooms in schools. It's very much focused on, community and, life skill building. This was a combined classroom with 3rd and 4th grade. It was a special education room. I did this observation for 2 hours because it was a 3rd and 4th grade combined. This is one of the first CBI classrooms that have been gone to for an observation for this class. I'm really glad that I got to be the student to do that. It was really interesting. The glow that I would give for this classroom is that Miss Lewis was so intentional. She was, very interactive with the kids, very involved, got them thinking. She was, constantly asking them questions. It was really neat. A grow, though, would be, and in the 2 hours I was there, I didn't really see a lot of academics at all. She said that, it was more community and functional skill based, but it kind of struck me as more of a preschool class, which that might be their functioning level, to be honest. That might be what is best for those students, but it just kind of struck me a little odd that a 3rd and 4th grade classroom had such a preschool-like feeling to it. But she was very involved with her students, and I could tell that she was a really good teacher. So I really did enjoy that observation. My 5th grade observation with Miss Jacobs was a very interesting one. There were only a handful of students, and the room was more of a conference room than a classroom. So that was interesting. Miss Jacob, her glow was definitely that she knew her students on a personal level. She asked one of her students if his brother was going to be coming to their fall festival that they were having later that day, or I think she asked how his mom was doing, or if his mom was going to come too, if he was bringing his little brother. So that was really cool to see that relationship and that connection there. But her grow is that she needed more respect from them. I could tell the students definitely liked her, but I feel like they didn't necessarily see her in an authoritative role. They felt like they didn't have to do what she said. Maybe she could provide more structure in her class for sure. It seemed very laid back, not a lot of structure, just kind of do do whatever sort of feel. My 6th grade observation was with Miss White. Her glow was the interaction as well. There was a lot of interaction, a lot of great teaching. They were really, even though it was a special education classroom, they were getting into, temperature and, reading the weather and stuff like that, which I found very impressive, as well as doing their spelling words. And she was talking about they were having a spelling test. The grow for her would also be the back area of her classroom. When I walked in and looked, I was overwhelmed. I was like, how am I going to do a classroom layout of this room? It was a little overwhelming, but again, if that's the only thing that I can give a grow for, like, I wouldn't be too upset with that. My 5th and 6th grade gifted and talented classroom with Miss Theodore. I absolutely loved it. It was probably one of my favorite observations. Her glow was that she was a very hands-on, teacher. They did a really, really cool hands-on activity, and it seemed super fun. The children were super into it, and a lot of learning was happening. I loved that afterwards, instead of just filling out a data sheet or answering 3 questions that she had written on the board, it was like an open discussion group. They discussed what happened as a group and just took turns with their thoughts and their input, and I loved that. The grow for this classroom was very difficult to find one, to be honest. Maybe to try to incorporate girls into it. This was a split gender gifted and talented classroom. So, maybe find a way to bring the girls in and, not have them feel like they need their own class, that they can interact with the boys. And my last observation was my inclusive one at Easter Seals with Miss Brooke. My glow for that one is that the teachers were so engaging. There was a lot of play, which I feel is really important, especially for young children. There was a lot of play going on. The teachers were engaged. They were playing with them, and it just made me really happy. The grow was also difficult for this classroom, and it wasn't a teacher grow as much as a facility setup. There wasn't a bathroom in the classroom. Their bathroom was outside in the hallway, which I understand, but for that age group and in that sort of setting, I feel like if there's any way they could incorporate a bathroom in the actual classroom, that might be a better setup and arrangement for those children in that age group with their special needs that's happening. But overall, I had a wonderful time doing these observations. I learned a lot that can really help me further my career as a future educator. Thank you.